1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Piris and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The Hambantota District Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna parliamentarian Ajith Rajapaksa elected as the new Deputy Speaker of the House. The ban on 2021 O-level classes to come into effect. The CID to record statements from 7 MPs over unrest on May 9th. India to send a stock of essential medicines worth 88.7 million rupees to Sri Lanka. Schools open as usual from today. Train services return to normal and private buses operating at 50%. The Ministers' Secretaries Union has requested the President to issue circulars to appoint honest and experienced state employees. International news, US and France welcome bid by Finland and Sweden to join NATO. Sports cricket, Tamim Mohammedul lead Bangladesh's strong reply. News in detail. Hambantota District Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna parliamentarian Ajith Rajapaksa has been elected as the new Deputy Speaker of the House. He was elected via a secret ballot. MP Ajith Rajapaksa received 109 votes while 78 parliamentarians voted for MP Rohini Kumari Wijeratna. 23 votes were rejected. The secret ballot was called after 2 names were proposed for the vacant position. The Criminal Investigations Department has informed the Speaker of Parliament that statements would be recorded from 7 parliamentarians over the tensions near the Goldface Green and Temple Trees on the 9th of May. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police has directed the CID to act in compliance with the directives of the Attorney General with regard to the investigations into the events that unfolded at the protest sites in Colombo last week. In a statement, the Police Media Division said 22 suspects, in total including 7 parliamentarians linked to the said events, have been identified so far. In view of the current challenges facing Sri Lanka, the state government of Tamil Nadu has planned to send 280 million rupees worth of essential medicines, and this stock is the first phase. The Tamil Nadu government had passed a resolution in the Assembly last month to send medicines, and in total 137 rupees of medicines will be sent. The medicines will be sent to Sri Lanka along with other essential items. Tamil Nadu is the first state in India to come forward to help Sri Lanka with medicines. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The Ministry of Education states that the island-wide schools which were closed during last week, reopened today. The government says that with the lifting of the curfew, activities in several sectors, including transport, will resume as usual. Meanwhile, the Railway Department said trains will run normally from today. General Manager of Sri Lanka Railways, Gamini Senviratna, said daily office trains also will operate as usual. Accordingly, all morning office trains are scheduled to run by now, and all long-distance service trains will also be running today. The official further said steps have been taken to operate all night mail trains other than the Jaffna and Batticaloa night mail trains. Meanwhile, the Private Bus Association says that due to the current fuel shortage, only about 50% of the private buses can be operated today. Ministers' Secretaries Union has requested the President to issue circulars to appoint honest and experienced state employees as secretaries to the new ministers to be appointed. A letter directed to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said each of the 20 ministers slated to be appointed will have the opportunity to appoint a total of 100 secretaries, with 5 secretaries each. The letter said the government will incur a total cost of 10 million rupees since the monthly salary for each secretary would be 100,000 rupees. The union also urged the head of state to only provide the allowance given to the parliamentarians to new ministers instead of the minister's allowance. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalopa Vedamahatmya.
The conduct of tuition classes, lectures and seminars for the 2021 GCE Ordinary Level Examination was banned at midnight last night. The Commissioner General of Examinations said any individual found to be violating this regulation will be dealt with under provisions of the Exams Act. Meanwhile, the public has been requested to report any violations to the nearest police station or by contacting the Examinations Department. The 2021 GCE Ordinary Level Examination will get underway on the 23rd of May and will draw to an end on the 1st of June. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
Parliament Entrance Road at Poldua Junction near Diathuena has been closed for traffic. Hence, the motorists are urged to use alternate routes for the time being. Traffic congestion is reported in the area due to the road closure. And that was Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines. US and France welcome bid by Finland and Sweden to join NATO. Hezbollah allies projected to lose seats in Lebanon elections. NASA rover begins key drive to find life on Mars. World news in detail. The United States and France have welcomed a move by Finland and Sweden to apply for a NATO membership. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre expressed U.S. support for the two countries' decision at a news conference on Monday. She said Finland and Sweden are close and valued defense partners of the U.S. and NATO. France's presidential office said in a statement on Monday that French President Emmanuel Macron welcomes and supports these decisions coming from two very close European partners. The Lebanese movement Hezbollah and its allies are expected to suffer setbacks in the parliamentary elections, according to partial results, with several anti-establishment candidates picking up seats in the first election since the economic crisis and the deadly 2020 Beirut explosion. It is too early to determine whether there is a clear majority for any group in Lebanon's 128-member parliament. Despite a lower national turnout at just 41%, unofficial projections indicate a significant change in the balance of power in parliament, where Iran-backed Hezbollah and allies once held a majority. NASA's Perseverance rover has reached a big moment in its mission on Mars. Today, we'll see the six-wheeled robot begin the climb up an ancient delta fissure in the crater where it landed. It will roll uphill, stopping every so often to examine rocks and look to have the best chance of retaining evidence of past life on the planet. On its way back down, Perseverance will collect some of these rocks, placing the samples at the base of the delta to be retrieved by later missions. The goal is to bring this material back to Earth in the 2030s for detailed inspection. Back to the headlines of the world news. US and France welcome bid by Finland and Sweden to join NATO. Hezbollah allies projected to lose seats in Lebanon's elections. NASA rover begins key drive to find life on Mars. And that ends world news. In development news, the coastal town of Kalpitia will receive a fresh boost with the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority having sealed an agreement with a foreign investor to develop the Uchamunai Island. The SLTDA said it has entered into a lease agreement with an investor for a $417.5 million project. The lease agreement was inked on May 11th, with the representative of the investor having arrived in the country to finalize the project. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Cricket news. Bangladesh hadn't crafted an opening partnership in excess of 100 for over 5 years in Test cricket before this innings. Tamim Iqbal and Mohamedul Hassan Joy made sure to correct that as they laid a solid foundation for Bangladesh to take control of the first test in Chattogram. In a near-perfect morning session on the day 3 of the first test, Bangladesh went to lunch unscathed on 157 for no wickets, trailing Sri Lanka by 240 runs. Tamim, closing in on his 10th test century, returned unbeaten on 89, while Mohamedul looked strong on 58. And that was Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The nation's trust bank has reiterated its strong financial position with steady growth in the first quarter of the financial year ending 31st March 2022 amidst challenging local and global macroeconomic conditions. The bank has posted a 4% year-on-year increase in profit before tax for the period under review. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The central bank expects the recently introduced middle spot exchange rate to strengthen the rupee exchange rate and to ease the liquidity pressure in the domestic foreign exchange market. With effect from May 13th, the central bank introduced a middle rate based on the weighted average spot exchange rate of the USD and LKR interbank transactions, with a variation margin on either side of the middle spot exchange rate for the licensed banks. The central bank said this measure, among others, is expected to help strengthen the exchange rate, thereby easing liquidity pressure in the domestic foreign exchange market in the period ahead. And that was Economic News.
LOLC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LOLC Finance claims the overall gold award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LOLC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
The Weather Report.
The Department of Meteorology says the southwest monsoon condition is gradually establishing over the island. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the western, Sabragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Matra districts. Heavy showers, about 100 millimeters, can occur at some places in the western and Sabragamuwa provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Matra districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northern province and in Anuradhapura and Hambantota districts. Strong winds of about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times over the western slope of the Central Hills, northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Hambantota and Trincomalee districts. Sea areas, wind speed can increase up to 60 to 70 kilometers per hour in the sea areas extending from Kankasanthurei to Pothuville via Putlam, Galle and Hambantota. Hence, the naval and fishing communities are advised not to venture into these sea areas during the next 24 hours. And that was the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, back to the headlines. The Hambantota District Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna parliamentarian Ajith Rajapaksa elected as the new Deputy Speaker of the House. the ban on 2021 O-level classes to come into effect. The CID to record statements from 7 MPs over unrest on May 9th. India to send a stock of essential medicines worth 88.7 million rupees to Sri Lanka. Schools open as usual from today. Train services return to normal and private buses operating at 50%. The Ministers' Secretaries Union has requested the President to issue circulars to appoint honest and experienced state employees. International news, US and France welcome bid by Finland and Sweden to join NATO. Sports cricket, Tamim Mohammedul lead Bangladesh's strong reply. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.